Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear brothers and sisters. Have you ever felt times when everything in your life seemed aligned, like a higher force was guiding you? Sometimes Allah speaks to you through signs, and these signs are not always audible. They are often engraved in the subtlety of physical sensations, a blessing that only the chosen can experience. Allah says in the Quran, "And He has given you hearing and eyes and hearts, but little are ye thankful." Surat Al-Mulk 67:23. Today, let's explore the 7 physical signs which show that Allah is sending you a message. Stay with us, because this video could transform your perception of divine guidance. 1. A light in your heart. Sudden inner calm. Imagine Aisha, a woman with a tormented soul. She had long carried the weight of responsibilities, juggling a demanding job, a family to support, and her own existential doubts. Every day she got up with a heavy heart, overcome by confused thoughts that pursued her, even in her dreams. Nothing seemed to calm this inner storm. But one morning, everything changed. She woke up to the sound of the adhan, a sound she heard daily, but which this time resonated differently within her. The words, "Hayya ala salah," seemed to whisper directly to his soul, "Come to prayer." Without even realizing it, Aisha stood up, performed her ablutions with conscious slowness, and walked towards her prayer rug. It was in this prostration that she felt for the first time a calm that she could not explain, as if the tumult within her had evaporated, giving way to a soft and reassuring light. Her tears flowed freely, but they were not tears of sadness. It was as if each drop carried with it an invisible burden. At that very moment, she understood the meaning of Allah's words. Those who believe and whose hearts are tranquilized at the mention of Allah. Is it not by the evocation of Allah that hearts are tranquilized? Surat Ar-Ra'd 13:28. Aisha is not alone. Many of us go through periods where chaos seems to be our only reality. We cling to our plans, to our human efforts to control the situation, but often this only amplifies our helplessness. However, Allah shows us that serenity does not come from outside. She is a divine gift, a light that illuminates the heart when we remember Him. Have you ever felt this sudden calm, as if a silent voice within you was saying, "Everything will be okay. I'm here for you"? The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, experienced moments of intense tension, but he always found refuge in the remembrance of Allah. When he faced overwhelming challenges, such as the rejection of the Quraysh or the plots against his life, he would often say to Bilal, "O Bilal, appease us with prayer." Prayer and dhikr are the portals to this tranquility. In another verse of the Quran, Allah says, "Remember me, and I will remember you." Surat Al-Baqarah 252. Remembering Allah is not just a physical or verbal action. It is a state of being, a deep connection between the soul and its Creator. And this connection produces a peace that nothing and no one can match. Did you know that this inner peace has also been studied by science? Research shows that regular meditation and prayer can reduce stress levels and improve mental health. The heartbeat slows down, breathing becomes more regular, and the brain releases feel-good hormones like oxytocin. But what science cannot explain is the specific effect of remembering Allah. Because this calm transcends biological reactions. It touches something deeper, the soul itself. In today's world, where everything seems to move too quickly, this inner calm is a miracle. How often do we get lost in distractions, notifications, and the expectations of others? Yet when we turn to Allah, even in the midst of storms, He envelops us in His peace. It's like being in a ship tossed by waves, but feeling like the captain of the ship knows exactly where he's going. Allah says, He has placed tranquility in the hearts of believers. Surat Al-Fatah 48:4. So, ask yourself this question. When was the last time you felt this light in your heart? Perhaps it was praying in a moment of despair. Perhaps while watching a sunset, realizing the greatness of Allah. Or perhaps by reciting a verse from the Quran that seemed to speak directly to you. This light is not reserved for a privileged few. It is available to all those who sincerely seek Allah. Because He promises, and those who fight for our cause, we will certainly guide them in our paths. Surat Al-Ankabut 29:69. Aisha, in her journey, learned that calm does not come from the absence of problems, but from the presence of Allah in her heart. And this same gift awaits you. Take a moment. Close your eyes. Remember Him. Perhaps right now, Allah is speaking to you, and this light is already there. 2. Spiritual chills, a bodily response to the remembrance of Allah. Have you ever felt those chills running through your body while listening to a recitation of the Quran? Perhaps a word or verse struck a chord within you, or a reminder from Allah awakened something deep in your soul. These shivers are not simple physical reactions. They are the visible and tangible manifestations of a connection between your heart, your body, and your Creator. Chills, scientifically known as piloerection, or skin response, are triggered by the autonomic nervous system. They often occur when you are exposed to moving music, a work of art, or an intense spiritual experience. In the case of the Quran or reminders of Allah, these shivers result from a complex process in the brain. When a recitation resonates within you, it activates the amygdala, the region responsible for emotions, as well as the prefrontal cortex, which processes spiritual and cognitive information. This interaction releases hormones like dopamine, associated with feelings of joy and calm. But this physical phenomenon does not explain everything. Because these thrills are not simply biological, they carry a spiritual depth that science alone cannot understand. Allah Himself speaks of these thrills in the Quran, linking them to the reverential awe and deep love believers feel upon hearing His words. In Surah Az-Zumar, Allah says, Allah has sent down the most beautiful of stories, a book whose verses are similar and repeated. Those who fear their Lord shudder, then their skin and their hearts calm down at the mention of Allah. Surah Az-Zumar 39:23. These words reveal a powerful truth. These chills are not trivial. They bear witness to a heart which responds to the divine call, a soul sensitive to the greatness of Allah, and a body which manifests this reaction. They mark a perfect synchronization between the soul and the reminder of its Creator. In Islam, the body and the soul are not separated. They work in harmony. The chills, although appearing in your body, find their origin in your soul. It is a natural response when the soul recognizes something greater than itself. Think about those times when you hear a particularly poignant recitation from the Quran. Every word seems to carry a spiritual weight. Every intonation seems to resonate in the depths of your being. You feel vulnerable, but filled with gratitude. These are the moments that remind you that you are a creation connected to your Creator, instinctively responding to His call. A moving example of this connection between body and soul is that of Bilal ibn Rabah, Raa, the faithful companion of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Bilal, known for his powerful and emotive voice when calling for prayer, often felt these chills when remembering Allah. It is said that after the death of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, Bilal could no longer make the call to prayer without being overcome by emotion. Every time he said, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasul Allah, shivers ran through him, and his tears flowed. It was not just his body that reacted, but his heart, deeply connected to the love for the Prophet and the consciousness of Allah. These chills are silent reminders that Allah is speaking to you. They are not coincidences, but subtle signals that your soul receives. The next time you feel those chills, ask yourself this question: what is Allah trying to tell me right now? Perhaps the verse or recitation you are listening to contains a message for you. Perhaps Allah wants to strengthen your faith, remind you of His mercy, or guide you to a better path. Allah dit, we will show them our signs in the universe and within themselves, until it becomes evident to them that this is the truth. Surah Fussilat 41:53. These shivers are these signs engraved in your being. In a noisy world where so many voices seek your attention, these chills are a reminder that only the word of Allah can truly soothe your soul. They invite you to slow down, pay attention, and fully feel each word of the Quran. Take the time to listen. Really listen. The next time you hear a recitation, close your eyes, let the words sink into your heart, and notice what your body is telling you. Perhaps in this moment, Allah is speaking to you in a unique way that only you can understand. Remember, those shivers aren't just a physical reaction. They are a divine invitation, a living proof that your soul is still connected to its Lord. You are never alone. 3. Renewed energy in prayer. I remember a time when Bilal, a close friend, was going through a difficult time. His days were long, filled with overwhelming responsibilities and little respite. Every evening he returned home exhausted, the weight of stress overwhelming him physically and mentally. However, there was one constant in his life: prayer. Even in the most overwhelming moments, Bilal always took the time to turn to Allah. It was not out of obligation, but out of deep need. And every time he got up to pray, something extraordinary happened. A new energy seemed to invade him, as if his soul, tired by the tumult of life, found refuge and recharged itself. This has always fascinated me. How could a simple act of prayer transform an empty man into a person full of vitality and hope? But as I observed Bilal, I realized that prayer was not just a ritual for him. It was a conversation, a direct connection with his Creator. Allah says in the Quran, "Seek help in endurance and salat." Certainly salat is a heavy obligation, except for the humble. Surah Al-Baqarah 2:45. These words resonate deeply as you understand that prayer is not a burden, but a source of strength. It is a constant reminder that Allah is there for you, that He listens, that He responds, and that He breathes renewed energy into you. Bilal once shared a powerful experience with me. One night, after a particularly trying day, he felt almost unable to pray. He was so exhausted that he thought he would collapse on his prayer mat. But he decided to persevere. And as he recited Al-Fatiha, he felt a deep calm, followed by an energy he couldn't explain. He told me, "I went into prayer thinking I had nothing to offer, but I came out feeling like Allah had filled me with everything I needed." This phrase has stuck with me because it perfectly illustrates the transformative power of prayer. How many of us have experienced similar moments? Days when we are overwhelmed by responsibilities, challenges, or even pain. And yet, when we turn to Allah, even with our weary hearts and troubled minds, He responds to us with His mercy and light. Think about those times when, after performing a sincere prayer, you felt a lightness that you could not explain. It is as if the burden of the day has been lifted, replaced by renewed serenity and vigor. This is not a coincidence. Allah did, "O you who believe, seek help in endurance and salat. Indeed, Allah is with the endurance." Surah Al-Baqarah 253. This is the secret of prayer. It is not just an act of submission, but an act of love and trust in Allah. Every time you pray, you lay your burdens at His feet, and in return, He gives you the strength to continue. Let's take another example. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Despite the trials he went through, he always found comfort in prayer. He often said to Bilal, his faithful companion, "O Bilal, give us rest with prayer." This shows how prayer was a refuge for the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. For him, as for us, it is a moment when body, mind, and soul synchronize, connecting to an inexhaustible source of peace and strength. Have you noticed how you feel after performing a sincere prayer? Maybe your once heavy heart is suddenly light. Perhaps your once confused thoughts are becoming clearer. Or maybe you just feel an energy that you can't explain. These moments are not accidental. They are reminders from Allah that, even in your weaknesses, He is there to strengthen you. So the next time you feel exhausted or overwhelmed, remember Bilal and these words from Allah. Salat is a heavy obligation, except for the humble. Surah Al-Baqarah, 245. And ask yourself this question: have I really allowed prayer to be my refuge, or have I missed this source of strength and comfort? Prayer is not just a duty, it is a gift. A moment when Allah reminds you that no matter how heavy your burdens are, He is there to lighten them. All you have to do is come to Him. 4. Clear and meaningful dreams. Chosen people often see dreams that guide or comfort them. These dreams are not simple images, but messages. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "True dreams are one part of 46 parts of prophecy." In the Quran we find the story of Yusuf, alayhi salam, whose dreams were messages from Allah. Let us recall the moment when Yusuf said to his father, "O my father, I saw in a dream 11 stars, as well as the sun and the moon. I saw them prostrate before me." Surah Yusuf, 12:4. Have you recently had a dream that seemed to come from another world? It could be Allah guiding you. 5. Providential coincidences. Have you ever found yourself in the right place at the right time, receiving exactly what you needed? These coincidences are not fortuitous. They are Allah's answers to your silent prayers. Allah dit, "When my servant calls upon me, I respond to his invocation." Surah Al-Baqarah, 2:186. Tell us in the comments, what was the latest coincidence that left you speechless? 6. Ease in difficulties. Another sign is the strength you feel in the face of trials. Remember those times when, although everything seems to be falling apart, you find an inexplicable ability to keep going. Allah promises in the Quran, "With difficulty, certainly comes ease." Surat Ash-Shar, 94:6. When have you felt this miraculous ease, as if Allah was carrying part of your burden? 7. An irresistible attraction towards dhikr and the Quran. Finally, do you feel attracted to the Quran, even for no apparent reason? This feeling is a divine calling. Allah draws you towards Him because He wants you to hear His words. Those who recite the Book of Allah, perform salat, and spend secretly and publicly from what He has allocated to them, hope for a commerce that will never perish. Surah Fatir, 35:29. The next time you feel this calling, respond to it with love and devotion. You are among the chosen ones if these signs resonate with you. Allah communicates with you in a unique way, through your heart, your mind, and even your body. Remember, and we are closer to Him than His jugular vein. Surah Qaf, 50:16. May Allah guide you and illuminate your path. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.